How's it going, everybody? I'm here with my friend Mr. Mobile Gamer. We're going to be talking about the new Crucible Season 7 starting April 1st. First question, is this a joke? Do you think that the season's not going to start in time?
No, the season's going to start in time. This has been tested at length, I believe. I mean, we've had how many versions of the season 7 rules have we seen? We've seen a couple versions, right? And I feel like this is ready to go. I can see.
I would hope so. I'm hoping it's not an elaborate April Fool's joke. But yeah, they've done a lot of changes. But these should be the final rules. So let's talk about it. We'll start talking about it with the global rules, which I think are a little boring, but also very deadly, right? So, I mean, the new season, the new team. Cabal is the global rules, of course, right? Like Superior 6 had their time, then Hive Mind had their time. Now it's going to be Cabal, and then the next team will have the next season, whatever the case may be. How are you feeling about the seasons, first of all, being shorter and then showcasing one of the newer teams?
I like the shorter seasons a lot because if we get tired of the room rules, then we just wait for the new season and it mixes things up. Now, I have found that last season did not feel boring. I felt like every week, every match felt different largely, right? I mean, that was my experience. This season here is a little bit more prescriptive, and I think specifically room 2 may be boring on the last week of the season because there's only so many things you can do in room 2. And shorter seasons are good if they're going to have a room like room 2.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so the global rules, let's just read it out real quick. So Cabal characters, when they have a vulnerable and they hit somebody, they're going to apply a vulnerable to the person they hit. And then, when they're below 25% damage, they're going to gain 200% extra damage, but they're also going to lower their own armor by 50%. So it makes them like a glass cannon, but this current season in stage 1, when a raider character goes below 50% life, I think of like Gambit one-shotting an entire Superior 6 team with offense up, defense up, and everything else, right? I guess that's what Cabal is going to do if they get into a deadly position.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. We didn't think Cabal was going to be great on defense, but I definitely experienced getting one shot by a Gambit Raider in room 1 in the last season, where the whole team got 3 million and I was dead. Right? You know what I mean? I just got wiped. Sometimes that is what you win or lose a round by. So, but this right here, I feel like Cabal is largely overkill in most situations. Currently, it's a very strong team.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. And then they're actually going to help their villain character allies. So on turn, if there is a Cabal character as an ally, they'll gain extra barrier 10% health, and then the usual defense boost, right? Teams are 20% stronger, and exhaust happens. So if you lose against a team, the enemies will get exhaust. That's how we deal with a lot of teams like Black Knight. So pretty standard stuff. You think the global rules will pack stuff? It sounds like you don't, right? The Cabal is just going to kill everything anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a nothing burger right here.
Yeah, I agree. But we got full house, and I had to show the San Francisco Bridge because I saw this room and I thought of Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. And I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but let's move on. So
and Morgan Le Fay?
And Morgan Le Fay, exactly.
Now I get it. Yes. Full house, San Francisco, Morgan Le Fay. Perfect sense. I mean, when I saw this room, I went, oh shit, I'm not going to have any T4s or ISOs. All my blue ISO 4 and blue ISO 5 is just going to get wrecked because of this room, right?
Yeah, it's another one of those rooms where your ISO selection basically dictates how your characters function. So if you're a striker and that character gets ability block, they'll gain 50% damage. I don't think that's very relevant. It's the next two that are relevant, right? Raiders, when it's their turn, they'll clear ability block and they'll heal themselves. And skirmishers, on successful attack, will apply ability block, but not to the primary. So if you have a character like Spider-Man 2099 who hits everybody and he's a skirmisher, he'll put ability block on everybody. So there's going to be this balancing act between how many vulnerables you're putting out, and then you're on your opponent's end for their defense, how many characters are going to make Raider to, say, protect a very interesting character from having to sit through that ability block. Like I was thinking, and we did this on your channel, we fought against an extreme team. Now, I wanted Forge and Rogue to be Raiders. That wasn't the case, but as we saw, if that was the case, the match would have went way different, right?
Yeah. So this is probably the smartest room I've seen in a long time. Like this has got some depth to it. The first things first, skirmisher. So you have a character that goes early and hits all the targets, is going to put ability block across the board. That may or may not be good because the striker characters are going to be doing 50% more damage when they come back on their basics, and the raiders are going to ignore it, right? Unless there's trauma. So you kind of got to think this out. I ran into some trouble with Nightcrawler. It's like, okay, and then, Forge, it's if you're stunning and using trauma, that's probably going to be the best way to get around this room is trauma, right?
Yeah, stun and trauma for sure will help you out with that.
Right.
But
So, I mean, it's a superior 6 on offense, fixes a lot of these problems, right? Where, Green Goblin's going to apply trauma, and then you're not going to have to worry about it as much, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, like this mostly targets our older teams. I think about a team like New Warriors. Hey, they have a way to put out trauma now by having somebody skirmisher, but the enemy has a way to clear it by just making those characters raiders. So I think they're going to see a lot of very interesting matches in this room, but I don't think in this next room we're going to see a lot of interesting matches. The raid on Crucible room. Congratulations, everybody. By popular demand, this room is coming back. And I say that very sarcastically because people hated this room, right? Let's talk about our experience. I think it was season 3 we had this room. It was the Bifrost show. There was a huge resist issue. And they sought a way to kind of take that back a little bit, peel it back a little bit. So they're going to lower the resistance and healing by characters in this room by 50%. Do you think that's going to fix this room, or do you think this room is kind of just a way for them to showcase new teams? Like we have the new Hive Mind team, the new Extreme team, Spider Society.
Yeah, so there's 2 things about this. One, it's a prescriptive room, meaning that there's probably going to be one correct defensive team and one correct offensive team, and then it becomes a little bit of an RNG fest, or maybe who's got the larger teams and then who's going to be more efficient. And I don't find that to be fun at all on long seasons. Now, a shorter season like we had last season, I think this is going to be fine. But how is this going to feel on the last week of the season? We're getting Spider Society, but largely everything in this game is about turn meter, and there are 2 teams that currently have a lot of turn meter, and we've got footage of this. But Pegasus has got a lot of turn meter, from the Ironheart, and then also when what's the guy's name? Darkhawk cuts down turn meter and gives turn meter. So like there's that, and then there's also Sylvie with the Bifrost team.
Yeah, massive rewind. And those 2 teams, they kind of go head to head, right? So we did this matchup together. And if it's the full Pegasus team, well, Kestrel as the Cosmic Hero buffs the Bifrost team, giving them Safeguard. And then Sylvie's able to survive and rewind everybody. So that seems to be a set match. But we also remember from the past season where there was a 4-piece Pegasus team with a character like Kang could come in and destroy a Bifrost team. And now, of course, we have Cabal, right? Cabal will come in, give vulnerable to them, and then they won't get speed bar. But a word of warning: any on spawn speed bar bypasses the Cabal or the Iron Patriot effect. So the on spawn speed bar that Pegasus gets, Cabal won't stop that. Same with Sylvie. So this may not be the room where we end up slamming our Cabal after all. But like you said, shorter season, so I can kind of deal with this room for the next month and a half, about 6 weeks or so. That's fine, right?
I may have a different opinion on this in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I reserve the right to change my opinion.
Yeah.
This next room, I think it's a very interesting room. It definitely gives me flashbacks of the striker room, right? So on turn, if character has taunt, they gain offense up. Any character with offense up will apply assists now to that team. So there's a couple teams that come to mind, like Superior 6 starts with offense up, Extreme starts with offense up, characters like the Eternals start with offense up, Young Avengers starts with offense up.
Yep.
And of course, Echo is part of the Young. So there's an interesting dynamic there, but luckily not going to drain our ions this time. How are you feeling about this room?
Okay, so when I first saw this room, I thought about Young Avengers, but I kind of intuitively know that you have to deal with the 12 or 13 or 14 strongest teams in Crucible. That this room rule probably is not going to make the 25th strongest team viable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is Young Avengers, right? So I don't think this is going to be Young Avengers. Now, everybody's in a different place in the game. So Young Avengers might be amazing on defense. Where, depending, it just depends, if you're where you're at in the game, right? We played this and, Super Scroll was pretty good in this room. There's a lot of things that are pretty good in this room.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this room is a lot of fun. I don't think, unless you're slamming everything on defense, I think you'll have the tools to deal with any team and bypass it for the most part. So it's
Right.
kind of the room where you win or lose it in matchmaking, right? It depends on the team
Yeah.
you bring in and how you manage your roster. If this room is going to be a pain in your butt or not.
Yeah, and then we always have the echo option, right?
Yeah. There's always the nuclear option, if you will. Okay, and then this room, kind of fun. This room they changed on us. It used to be city villain characters only. Now it's all villains. So the ultimate abilities are going to cost 2 less energy. So that means a character like Doom will ult turn 1, a character like Skrull will ult turn 1, a character like Vulture will ult turn 1, Dormammu, that sort of thing. However, those same villain characters actually lose 25% of their life. So it adds a glass cannon element to them. There's some interesting play to be had here, right? But I don't know. Let me ask you. I'm a little burnt out on the whole ultimates happen 2 turns faster or 2 turns slower. Like, I'm a little just burnt out on that. I would love to see more things like stage 1, but without the ion tax. How do you feel about this room?
I'm not burnt out on it, and I feel like this room creates a lot of flexibility on what you want to do, and because it's villains only, then we have to start thinking a little bit different about the room in general. Where in the past, we were using like Weaver and things in this type of room. Like this room feels very familiar, right?
Yeah.
Where that's not going to be an option. I think there's only so many different ways of making rooms, but for me, this type of room is the room that I prefer because it forces us to think a little bit differently without switching ions around. I don't really like ion switching around, and I
Yeah.
just only think there's so many different things they can do. So I'm a fan of this room.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about the villain aspect because when I think about the ultimates, it's always kind of the villains as the big characters that are wrecking these kind of things, right? But yeah, that's fair enough. So a character like Icarus is not going to be able to ult every
Right.
single turn he comes in here. Yeah, that's a good
Right.
way to look at it. All right, but this is a very easy to understand room. Watch out for the ticking time bombs because they are ready to blow the second you walk into the match. All right, Flashbang. So this is a room where, with blind, lower a character's speed by 5%, so kind of like a Baby Emma effect if the character has blind. Also removing their armor by 25%. And then ultimate abilities from any character apply blind to the primary target. So you start looking at teams that have a lot of opening ultimates, fast teams, so then they can get the speed advantage, deal some damage into that armor, and go from there. I sort of thought, like, hey, this is actually kind of a good room for a team like Hive Mind, right? So Void Knight is going to ult turn 1. He's pretty quick. The rest of his team, they all have their ults available turn 1. That could be a lot of blinds happening. But then there's always the perennial team, the Infinity Watch, who will bypass what this room does, right? So what do you think about this room? Because I do think there's some fun elements when you start playing around with the speed with certain qualifiers.
Yeah, I was thinking about new warriors maybe in this room, to not have to worry about the blind and just get it done quickly and, and apply blinds to whatever you need to do. But yeah, Infinity Watch on defense probably makes a lot of sense here. If nothing else, it's going to be an efficiency sink.
Yeah, not too much to go in this room. This is also a room where I kind of think, is this where a new team starts slotting in, right? Because I look at the teams we have right now, and they fit really well into other rooms. Like Superior 6 would go good in here because they do a lot of turn 1 ults, but they also fit good into the aggro room. The Extreme team, they do a lot of ults turn 1, or at least turn 2, and they get there pretty quickly, but they fit well into the raid room, and they fit well into room 1. So I wonder if we're going to be getting a new team to slot in here that'll shake up the halfway mark of the season.
We'll find out. I have no idea.
Yep. All right, and then finally the Crossroads room. I'm gonna just start calling this the Mephisto room, to be honest with you, because
let's call it the Robbie Reyes room.
The Robbie
I think
Reyes
for most
room.
for most people, this is going to be a secret defender Robbie Reyes room.
Oh, I agree with you for most people, but I think it was made for people to get Mephisto early and get that double dip benefit. But I agree. So let's call it the Robbie Reyes room. On crit, you're gonna apply bleed to the primary target, And if there's a Ghost Rider, any Ghost Rider ally, that character has bleed, they'll gain 20% armor. And then if Ghost Rider, any Ghost Rider again, is an ally, apply 20% crit rate chance to their team. Right? So if you have Robbie Reyes on the team, your Black Cat, your Photon, your Miss Marvel, they'll all gain 20% crit chance, as will any other character that happens to be there. So, but I think about this, and I think, like, Secret Defenders, they're kind of a solved team, right? Like, what can you do with Secret Defenders that New Warriors will not beat them? Is what it comes down to in my mind.
Yeah, because the hot sauce right now is what New Warriors and Lizard versus basically any Secret Defender team, and I'm trying to think if this would matter much. I mean, if they don't take a turn, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like Ms. Marvel or Noir going early might be able to speed up the Robbie fast enough. I'm not sure if it throws off the turn meter enough to throw a wrench or not.
Yeah, or the Captain America to try and stop some flips. But I don't actually know if Lizard's ultimate is blockable. It may not be. But that's it for the room rules. So I think that stage 6, though it is the Robbie Reyes room, I don't think it's going to make or break the Crucible for most people. Would you agree with that?
No, yeah, but I think what people are going to do is put Noir and Secret Defenders here is what probably a lot of people are going to just do to try that first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, so that's it for the Season 7 room rules, plus a little bit of footage you guys saw there. What are your first impressions on these rules?
The only room that there's 2 rooms that I'm concerned with. Switching the ISOs around in room 1 might be annoying, and we will see. The jury's out on room 2, and I'm okay with doing it for now, but I may hate that room. A month in, I might hate that. We all might really hate that room.
Yeah. What I will say is that if they were trying to showcase the new raid teams, they failed to remember what Pegasus does. Because Pegasus does not let Hive Mind take a turn, and though Extreme takes turns, they don't last very long. Because 75% turn bar on spawn with Pegasus is just too much to overcome for the other teams, minus Bifrost, which we saw.
And that team was not supposed to be that way. Initially, it was worded that way, but the way that the team was tested and designed was around Ironheart only giving herself the turn meter, right? But the kit said something differently, and then they ended up changing it so that it affected the whole team. I don't feel like that was the design, or at least the team wasn't tuned around that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't think that the Pegasus team is meant to see outside raid modes, because there are 5 Magnetos on one team, except that Magneto has been on steroids and is destroying you, especially with Kestrel at the helm, right? But we'll see. Hey, maybe that's going to be the Spider Society room in by the end of the season. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. There's 2 characters that are in the game right now that are better than they're supposed to be, and that's Ironheart with their passive in raids, and then Mysterio, where his special was only supposed to work in War, but it ends up working in Crucible. And then there's another situation right now where Leader is supposed to give Safeguard inside of Crucible, but that's not what the kit says. The kit says everywhere. It was tuned to be just in Crucible, and then they're going to have to either change the kit or change the text, and then that may be a third character that is better than it is actually supposed to be. If they end up making Cabal have Safeguard everywhere on spawn, that's a little different than maybe the way it was tuned. We'll have to find out, right?
Yeah, you know what? That would be I would celebrate that, because I think that would shake up the war meta even more than the Cabal already will. And that's always kind of a fun thing to theory craft on, especially because it's a 3-person team. But it is interesting when they have bad descriptions and they have to fix it to be what it was sold to be like, right? That's always kind of funny.
Yeah, because they tune it with the wrong. However it works is the way that it's tuned. And then when the description doesn't match the ability, and then they actually make the team better, well, it was tuned without that ability that way. So it's an interesting issue where basically right now in game, Mysterio is better than he was supposed to be, and so was Ironheart.
Yeah. And it's going to be a fun future raid where they try and phase out the tech team. We'll see what kind of monstrous entity they have to spawn for that. All right, well, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go check out Mobile Gamer's channel and his sister video to this one, where we did the gameplay live. Anything you want to say before we take off?
No, I have fun with it, and hopefully Room 2 is not terrible. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out, guys. And make sure you watch all of our gameplay Crucible videos going forward if you want to see how the season evolves and shakes up. But for right now, stay happy, healthy, have fun, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.